further than this building ever got, as far as getting the item tax credits and this, that, and the other. There's a lot of other things going on, and we're right at the cusp for potential having this building renovated, the old Broadview Hotel. You know, I think, you know, it's our building. No matter what we do, we tear it down, whatever we have to do with asbestos, right? So there is other things that we're working on in the state. We haven't got that information back, so we may be transferring the money. We may get our award, or they may get the award, you know. But as right now, that's not the case as far as the building, because that was, we should have 5-6 years ago, we should have already moved that asbestos out that building, right?
We started it, but
Well, I can talk about when we started. That's a whole different conversation. I'm just going to talk about the money that was allocated and the used correct money. You know, but so that's why it's the sense of urgency to try to get the building done so we can the Broadview Hotel open and put it.
okay, we remove the asbestos. Have you got some kind of agreement with the chief that's supposed to be coming in writing or something? That said they're finding, you know, is it a nursing home or something you tell me about?
No, it's not a nursing home.
It's what?
No, it's a developer. They'll be doing like a senior, it'll be a mixed use, so it'll be commercial at the bottom and then senior living at the top, 55 and older. And they've gotten they were granted item tax credits, they've gotten other financial resources. This was the only thing they kind of had a gap for. And so it'll be about a $24 to $30 million project. And this would be the only cost to the city. The idea is that once it's done, they either purchase or lease the building from the city. It's a project that, I mean, we did an RFP maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And so, like, we've been working toward this point. And honestly, we have the bid for the asbestos abatement. We just couldn't bring it because somebody filed a protest. So we have to follow our process for that to make sure that he's heard, and then you guys can vote on the asbestos abatement. And then once that's done, they should be able to close on all of their financials so that they can break ground probably at least before the year is out.
And the goal is, after talking with the developer, to do a groundbreaking or break ground by August. It just depends on how long they're going to be doing this asbestos and when they, you know, getting their finite details for their gap funding and the rest of those.
You got some kind of idea how long it's gonna take
To complete the project or to do the asbestos. I don't know, I went in there and read.
I believe the gentleman, the person who is identified as the lowest most responsible bidder as of today, gave an estimate of 6 months.
6 months?
Because they're gonna have to clean it from floor to floor. Because the issue is that the person who was supposed to do it before did not do it properly, and therefore it became airborne, and so it has to be treated as a hazard. The person who was supposed to do the abatement years ago, like before my time, didn't do it right.
I won't call no names.
So if there aren't any more questions, the chair will entertain a motion to approve items. A, resolution for the Mayor City Council to approve change order for Marydale Avenue and 13th Street. And E, ordinance approving street vacation on Division Avenue from 4th Street to the Metro Limited.
That's good.
I'm sorry, yeah.
What is that?
They, for the development, they need to have access to that 4th Street right there for parking. It's inside the scope of their development or whatever. They need to make sure they have that and access to it as far as development. And they have already changed, there's no sewers or anything over there that prohibit them from being able to do that. The chair entertains the motion to approve items 8 and F.
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second. On the question, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Nickens,
Yes.
Councilman Potter,
Yes.
Councilman Dancy,
Yes?
Mayor Easton III.
Yes.
You have 4 ayes.
Motion passes. G. And these items, I just wanted to put on up here for discussion. because we haven't met in so long, and just, things that we're talking about, we're supposed to be doing in the past couple of months, and, because of COVID-19, it seemed like it's been off the radar, but it has not. So, City Manager, you want to bring us up to date with the zoning for the cannabis and dispensary?
Okay, so, as you all know, we were at the point of we had our planning commission had the public hearing, we were trying to adopt a model ordinance for the zoning for the dispensaries and craft growers, assuming that we get one here. We got hit with COVID-19, so we have not done that yet. The only decision I really need from council, and so that we can get the ordinance drafted up, is the distance. So the state says that a dispensary cannot be located within 1,500 feet of a church or school, but it does allow for a city to be less restrictive. So some of the topics, from my understanding, that came up at the hearing, obviously people don't want it to be in residential neighborhoods, they don't want it to be close to a school, but then you have some people that understand that a city like ours, you kind of got a church on every corner, if you will. So I did receive one formal request that the city consider 1,000 feet instead of 1,500 feet. So that's the discussion I would like to have with you guys, with the hope that if you decide on, give me an idea of 500 feet, 1,000 feet, then we can put that in the ordinance and have that ready to adopt at our next meeting.
Well, coming from me, I would either like to stay consistent with either our local liquor ordinance or take in consideration with the state as underlined. So I think our local liquor ordinance is 1,000 feet from those structures, those dwellings. Or we can just go with the state. I don't think it needs to be anything less than 1,000 feet. I'm not for it. I say anything less than 1,000. Because right now it's 1,500. Our liquor, it's 1,000.
Across the street.
Right. It's 1,000 feet. So I'm not for anything less than 1,000.
I make a motion that be 1,500.
So you just want to stay consistent with the state?
Yep.
So we just make it consistent with the state.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, but
No, it don't need to be less than 1,000, less than that. So
you said it's 15?
I was good with the 15.
Okay.
Update on the 2018 audit.
I'll defer to Dwayne on that.
There were some items that the auditor had outstanding with both the city and the library. The items for the library, our personal director went and took care of those items out at the library late last week and sent them all to the auditor. So she's just waiting to hear back from him if he has any questions at all about the remaining items that she sent him. As far as with the city's items.
Dwayne.
Sorry about that. Should I start over?
Sure.
Okay, so, the auditor still has some remaining items outstanding for both the city and the library. For the library's remaining items, our HR director went out to the library and pulled those last remaining items Friday of last week and sent them all to the auditor. So now she's just waiting to hear back if all those items are satisfactory or if he has any other questions. So as of right now, the library should have all their items submitted to the auditor. As far as the city items, the big items that are still not outstanding, but he has questions on that we have to provide him additional detail on, our capital assets, our notes to the financial statements. Those are completed. However, he has some additional information that he's requesting from us. One from outside of the city's jurisdiction, which is our IMRF. We get annual reports submitted from IMRF, but there was one section that was missing that talked about subsequent disbursements. Subsequent deferred outflows of resources. for whatever reason, it had nothing in there for that amount, but that amount is always populated every day. So I had Monica reach out to Amherst to find out what was going on with that last deadline. And then there was some other information they needed from me for it, that I have to provide for them. Otherwise, the auditor doesn't have that many questions as far as smaller items, like the latest question he had was in relation to accounts payable. Between his analysis and our analysis, out of like $6 or $7 million of accounts payable, were off like $50,000. So hey, what's going on with that? Why is it not matching up exactly? So we have to provide him that detail. So otherwise, the conversation's ongoing. We've been knocking out every question that they have. There is one item that is a bigger item that is missing, and that's the Board of Election does not have a 2018 audit. They've been really good about it in the past, when we first told them about it, but they definitely do not have an audit for 2018. So that definitely will affect this audit. I don't know if that will be a type of qualification or that will result in just a larger fine. That will require an additional discussion with the auditor, but he has been made aware that that issue is outstanding. So, but that's not gonna hold the audit, we're just gonna continue forward and do what we need to do and, take whatever months we take from that.
So from this point, from last year to this point, how many audits were we behind and how many did you're saying so we can get the citizens a true perspective on
Are you including other audits?
I'm kind of when we took
Okay, let-
from May 1st to present.
From May 1st present, then two.
So we had 15, 16.
Oh, no, 15 and 16 were done, I'm not saying it was 14 and 15 that were done, we did 16 and 17 that were done last year.
Right.
So you had those two that were outstanding, and then you had 18 that were outstanding, you had 3 that were outstanding. You took care of 2, and now you're only behind 1. And then once you get caught up at 18, then 19 will be due in June, by June 30th, but you get 60-day extension, and then it will be due by August 30th. So yeah, if you're talking about that, then yes, we've caught up with 2 additional audits, but we include the other audits, like having to submit information for Department of Justice and everything else, and yeah, that's probably for 5.
Just any other discussions between financially, why you look at
My question was why don't we pay Board of Election money?
We do.
And they behind on audits, which they know we were already trying to get caught up with audits. Now, I don't understand how we still funding people who are behind on they audit, but we trying to catch up and they dragging us behind. I don't know. I got a problem with that.
So yeah, I would have to talk to the executive director to find out what happened.
It's not characteristic of them, they know what they're doing.
So yeah, they were pretty good about having that, and I was surprised when I went and said, hey, give me your audit, and they're like, no, we haven't done it at all. So yeah, that's what we're doing for them.
But you want to finish the rest of this finance question?
That's what I said, everybody got their money.
But y'all, well,
No, let's do finance.
Finance.
Yeah.
Me and Mr. Campbell are working on a bigger comprehensive report to give to the city manager and then council to definitely discuss how this COVID thing has impacted the city's cash. And I guess just to go over the biggest thing, of course, we're not receiving any casino queen revenue. And it's not just the casino queen revenue, you have the other state revenue that's been impacted as well. Like you have your sales tax, your income tax, things like that that are generated because the businesses are open have been drastically impacted as well. Unfortunately, that with those bigger revenue items that are not coming in, that would definitely sustain us not coming in, that's taking a big toll on our cash. Not only just from a receipt standpoint, but from an expenditure standpoint, because again, you're still paying payroll, you're still paying insurance and everything else, and you have less cash. The other concern that we were doing also, that we're gonna make sure to put a part of this report is with TIF, and I think the county delayed people paying taxes as well. Normally, we would get them like mid-June. If they're delaying when people have to pay their first round of taxes, that's going to delay when tax funding comes in too for your TIF. And that was an nightmare already to do it, as we just fought to get money back from our bond trustee, who did not have an understanding, because that bond trustee is new. We no longer have a Bank of New York St. Louis bond trustee. That representative is now out of Indiana, and it took a period of about 2 to 3 months to get him caught up and get about 2.3 million that was being held out of TIP 1 back over to the city. So the concern is that with the projects that we're going forward with, we have to understand that we have to monitor that cash now very closely too, because TIF doesn't have small projects. You all can easily turn in a $200,000 bill, and that's just for one project. But I want to make sure that we space these projects out properly so that we have the proper amount of funding coming in at the same time. So, along with the general fund reporting, you all will be getting reporting about the TIFs as well. And other than that, bills are getting paid. Lights still on.
For how long?
So I'm trying to stretch it.
I mean, how we look for payroll for the next month?
For the next month, general fund cash we have, as of today, about $1.3 million. So if you would do just the payrolls for next month, that's about $600,000 in a month. You have enough for the payrolls. But you also have to take into consideration, so you got 1.3 million, take 600,000 off of that, you have $700,000. Then you got to take out insurance. That's about $150,000. So we'll just round it up to 2 for easier numbers. Now you're down to $500,000. You still got back overtime that we owe, that's $200,000. Now you're down to $300,000. Now, you still have the agreement that the council said that we were going to continue to pay the pensions. And we're already 2 months behind in that, that's $400,000 you're already the negative, huh?
We just didn't pay April.
Yeah, but you got me.
But we one more time. Ain't gone yet, you don't know what I'm doing.
But once you start doing that, and that's not even getting to your utilities and all that other stuff, so. To answer your question, we will have enough for the next month, but things will be closely monitored, so yes.
What's the status of y'all borrowing money?
Have
we tried to do that yet?
I just had a meeting with Karen, sorry. She said she had to get with one other person, but hopefully we can do it next week. Sorry.
So that's for the,
That's for the potential of talking about borrowing. Yes. That's meeting with our local bank in Atlanta.
We got a lot of issues, but you know what? This is everywhere else in the state of the country just kind of do it. These rules is kind of like old rules, you know, of us, you know, trying to squeeze the term.
are we getting the federal money from the government? Are we getting it for the
Talking about
local?
what, stimulus?
Yeah, it
Well,
Oh.
stimulus
The
package.
The only funds that were allocated to the city at this point, was about 191,000 through the DOJ, for the police, it's for police only. And it was, there's an application, we actually have to apply for that money. So, Ann told us this morning that, she's been working with Kendall to get the application completed, so they should be turning that in. And we would get that can be used to reimburse for the police for overtime, any COVID-19 related expenses, gear, et cetera. So far, that's the only, firm dollar amount that we've been getting. There was a FEMA application that was due. It was a one-page application with really no guidance. I turned it in and they gave me a login, but they haven't really said anything about how we go about getting reimbursed for, expenses or how much. But we do have a scribe that's keeping track of all of our expenses, dating back to when the mayor, declared the initial emergency, so that we can apply for reimbursement, should that come up.
Do we have anybody writing the grants for us? The government got a lot of programs, I mean, you know, that we can get money for.
We don't have a grant writer, per se. It's everybody's job around here to, apply for a grant. So I just found out, Friday that SAFER, they've actually extended the SAFER grant to include retention. We vetoed it before because it was for new hires and we would be responsible for keeping those new hires on at the end of the period. But now they have one that's for retention of actual firefighters. So I printed out the paperwork and it's about 69 pages, but I gotta go through it. And if it's something that's feasible for us to do, then Jason and I'll get together and try to get that application in. That's been the only other thing that's really come up. I know the Illinois Municipal League is really advocating with the governor for cities. They're giving a lot of money to the bigger cities, cities with a population of 500,000 or more. Nobody's really kind of worried about us. But they're really advocating for, money for cities regardless of size, and that it's unrestricted, which means you don't have to apply for it, and it's not just for, this department or that department. So we'll see how that goes. And we're on those calls every week. I have like 4 calls every week.
I have 4 calls a day.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm just with the big people, with the White House and with the governor's office.
And then also, a lot of these grants require that our audits be up to date. So, we're working towards that as well.
And that's kind of the point that the municipal league is trying to make, like, that's where that no restrictions comes in that, don't place that, it's understandable you want the audits to be complete, but, especially for a lot of gaming cities, this is really hurting them.
Exactly.
Where are we at, the water company buying the sewer?
I'm sorry?
Okay, oh yeah, so, water company buying the sewer.
Oh,
So the bid opening was held on May 11th. They came and said they were not ready to bid. So they reached out to me Friday, asking to schedule a conference call with me and the mayor to discuss some things. Did we get that set up? Okay, so we're working to get that set up, but May 11th was the date that they selected. We actually extended the date due to COVID-19, and they actually came back, I believe, through the attorney and specifically requested May 11th. We said fine, and then they came and said they weren't ready to bid, so.
The reason why they're not prepared to submit a bid right now is because there's legislation that needs to be passed on the state level and the city level because of the time to do of our ability of collecting low sewer payments. So they want to make sure that they it's an equitable deal for both parties, so they work up those issues. They're in touch with the state senator and the state representative, to try to get things passed, to make sure that, we can get done in this session with them. So the goal is to try to get this done before at least summer, but, we was expediting this real quick anyway, so, but I think everything is still moving in the right manner as far as that goes. Is there anything else? Finance? Budget? City manager, you have any more comments other than what you've already stated?
There was just one item other than what I've stated that I wanted to bring up for discussion, and that's the situation with the Ameren and the permit fees. I know we had some concerns about that, and since we have the attorney here, I want him to address those concerns as to why we didn't charge a permit fee for Ameren for I think it's a substation that they're doing at Ridge. If you could speak to that, John.
Talked a little bit to Councilor Nancy, the state law in Illinois that says that if the state regulates a entity, then the municipal government, even if it's home rule, doesn't have the authority to do it. So Ameren has to submit their, and back up one step from a utility perspective, the reason the state's doing that is they want a statewide utility system where they all feed off each other, and they're afraid that if municipalities say no to a particular project and that statewide plan disappears. So the state has imposed their authority on construction projects, on certain regulated entities. There's been two cases litigated in Illinois. In each case, the particular utility won the case. So that's why we're not charging building permits to utilities.
I read most, what you gave. And what it says is that the utility company don't have to pay us. Not a contractor for the utility company. They have to pay in accordance with our law. Any contractor, if you're working on a house or anything, has to pay for that permit. We got an ordinance, on the books. If somebody work on my house, I gotta get a permit. They have to get a contract. On roofing, they have to get a contract. On anything, the county has to get a contract. A permit. So they are not exempt. All the other utility companies we deal with get permits.
I'll look at that and get back to you. The permit authorizes so if we turn the contractor down, then Ameren doesn't get their project.
But the contractor is working for Ameren. He got a contract with Ameren. Ameren is not doing the work. If Ameren is doing the work, they'd be exempt.
I'll be happy to look at that back.
But this says nothing about the contractor. It's just got Ameren is exempt from any work, tolls or whatever, So, as long as I've been there, we've been charging for contractors, okay? So I don't see why they're exempt now. City manager? How did you interpret it the same way I interpreted it? On what?
I didn't really look at it. I relied on the advice of the.
Okay, that's
the
fine.
attorney.
We'll get a copy of the ordinance
Okay.
that says that all contractors have to pull a permit, okay? And they're not exempt from being a contractor. City clerk, can you pull that ordinance?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything else? I just want to make I'm gonna do this on a city manager's comments. Since we last, we had a couple of people that's close to us in the room that has lost people, family members and such. So I just want to offer my condolences to Sarah Joshua, who lost her grandfather, Councilman Dance, who lost his mother. So I just want to offer our condolences, and we still stand with you in this time of grieving, and the days and years to come. We stand here with you. Are there any other questions? Are there any concerns? Chair will entertain the motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Second.
Councilman Casey, Councilman Mickens,
Yes.
Councilman Potter,
Yes.
Councilman Dan,
Yes?
Mayor Easton, third.